Hello and welcome back. This is chapter 1, where we'll be looking at 2 learning objectives, 2 little ones. The first one, learning objective 4, explain the nature and importance of ethics for accountants. And lecture 5, explain the elements of corporate social responsibility, or CSR. Ethics is something that we codify and also can be more broadly beyond that. Professional accounting associations, such as CPA Canada, has a code of ethics for members. Well, and honestly, each provincial body has the full code of ethics, and they somewhat vary, but consistently, the theme throughout the provinces is that we must act with professional behavior, competence, so we shouldn't take on engagements that we do not possess the skills to complete. Confidentiality, we treat our clients' information as if it were our own. We secure it, we do not share it. We act with integrity and objectivity. So it's not what we do when people are looking, it's what do we do when nobody's looking, when nobody would find out what our actions are. We act with the public's as well as our clients' greatest good and interest in mind. We are objective, meaning we take measures to acknowledge our inherent bias and to provide measures to act accordingly, such that we act as objectively as possible. So not only do CPAs have code of conducts that they must adhere to as part of being a CPA member, but many companies also have their own formal code of conduct for employees. Okay, so you may have noticed that perhaps at your part-time jobs, if you've had a full-time job, or your upcoming cooperative education jobs, oftentimes as part of what is referred to as onboarding, that is the first few days or first week or two of training, many companies will provide their formal code of conducts for which employees are responsible for reading and signing off, and this is typically an annual process. Okay, so our second item is CSR, corporate social responsibility. You may also hear about it as being referred to as sustainability. So CSR is a concept that organizations consider the needs of all stakeholders, whereas perhaps previously we were really concerned as organizations with just the shareholders. And when we talk about just the shareholders, meaning what do we do to maximize profit, perhaps at the expense of other stakeholders. Perhaps we are maximizing profits, but we're not treating our communities well. Or perhaps we're looking at maximizing profits and not being first and foremost concerned with environmental or human rights, or how we treat our suppliers. CSR means that we look broadly at everybody in the company's ecosystem, I call them consumers, the customers, employees, suppliers. Again, I did not edit these slides. This was a picture. I cannot edit to make this S go over here, make the boxes a little bit bigger, or make the font a little bit smaller. So we're just going to chill. I'm going to chill and go with it. So we look at the broader stakeholders, not just the shareholders, everybody in the company's ecosystem, the consumer, employees, suppliers, community, shareholders, the environment, human rights. We are looking at everything. This is going way beyond legal compliance. This is looking at doing the right thing as an organization, even if it costs money in the short term, because it is the environmental and human rights thing to do, because we are not going to be taking advantage of our communities for the profit of our shareholders. It really is that more holistic approach. So what's interesting about that more holistic approach and considering the code of conduct brings me to a question. And it's kind of a loaded slide, but it also incorporates a bit about what I do outside of the classroom, because what I do outside of the classroom is what I bring to my classroom teaching, and what I bring to teaching is what I bring to outside. So really finding integration. We as humans are not, we are not silos. We do not do accounting in silos. We are not professors or students in silos. We have this whole big grand life. So why do companies prepare a code of conduct? Well, Companies provide a code of conduct such that all employees are on the same page as for what is ethical practice, because if you only stuck to what is legal, you might be, not be breaking any laws, but you're certainly not acting ethically. So kind of got to have that bigger holistic approach. So that is why employees prepare a code of conduct. Interestingly enough, relating it back to my own professional journey as an accountant and as a researcher, a few years ago, when inflation was above 6%, and people were seeing, for example, yogurt prices double in the supermarket, Canadian grocers were being accused of greedflation. That is, taking advantage of high inflationary periods to make excessive profit. But what is excessive profit for a for-profit company? So as I may have alluded to earlier, I'm a accounting practitioner with a history of C-suite in a public company. I am also a scholar, though my research tends to focus on what is practical, so what is used. As such, when there was concern about greedflation in food, my colleague and I performed some industry research on this. We published a few articles and a few opinion editorials or op-eds. We then teamed up with two of my other CPA colleagues and academics to write a paper. And so that paper is right here. So there we explore topics of ethics and CSR, sustainability, and our main findings were this study sheds light on the alterations in and circumstances that led to Canadian consumers to question entire industries and accounting practices that were previously considered unproblematic. And in order to address these, as a remedy, we recommend the establishment of a mandatory code of conduct for grocers and an enhancement of transparency of financial reporting standards, where, paradoxically, corporate profits may continue to grow when societal needs are no longer perceived as being neglected or, even worse, exploited. So what does that all mean? Well, what that means is that consumers are concerned that they're being taken advantage of in these high inflationary periods because of higher prices that they're seeing. However, grocers are saying, hey, our prices are going up as well. But then they're like, well, okay, they're going up, but you're taking advantage of us. And then the financial reporting of the grocers mixes all of the products into one lump sum where they're kind of looking the same financial reporting will report lipsticks in combination with drugs in combination of bananas or yogurts. So the profits that the grocers were making wasn't transparent. So what we said after analyzing all of the data in our article, just going backwards, pardon me, is that when you look at what is going on, if you increase transparency throughout the entire chain, if you help shed some light on what's affecting suppliers, what's affecting consumers, what's affecting shareholders, if you provide more transparency, then you will likely make the same, if not more, profits, because people will be less angry if they just understand more. And so if you codify this, that is, if you have a grocer code of conduct, which is what we recommended, a mandatory code of conduct for grocers, then because of this code of conduct, because there's kind of like a third-party agreement that grocers say that they'll, if they agree to this mandatory code of conduct, which they ended up agreeing to, that's kind of down here, everybody agreed to except for Loblaw, and then Loblaw signed on, and then they were waiting for Sobeys and Metro and Walmart and Costco, kind of saying, hey, as long as we understand where it's coming from, then you can't be accused of greedflation, taking advantage of high inflationary periods for excess profits. And because we can't blame you for that, then, like you're a for-profit company, you're permitted to keep on going on and making profit. Just people won't feel gouged as a process of it. So all this to say is code of conducts can be employee code of conducts, they can be grocer code of conducts. They are just a set of rules that outlines what are the appropriate ethical parameters of this organization or of these series of organizations, the rules by which we, quote, play the game and report under. So thank you so much. I will see you in the next video.